Good morning, Sacramento City College. You got. Where are the Panthers? Are you in the house? I don't know if I can accept that. So let's try that one more time. Good morning, Sacramento City College Panthers. Go! Fabulous. Good morning. I'm Dr. Norman Lorenz, the Coordinator for Professional Development and Professor for Education Studies. On behalf of the Staff Resource Center for Professional Development, we welcome you and all new employees to the fall 2019 semester. We're glad that you're here. A big round of applause for all those who are joining us this year. If you would like to follow along with the program, please go to the address on the screen and click on Friday, and you can use your smartphone in the PD Week site to track our outline today. As we embark upon this fall semester with the environment we create, you will hear about this from Dr. Deborah Crumpton further in the program. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce our Los Rios Community College District Police, Captain John McPeak.
Thank you, Norman. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. You guys ready for a new semester? Yeah? All right. Yes, my name is John McPeak. I am your police captain here. I've been with the district for 27 years. I've had the honor to being in law enforcement for over 40 years. Started my career back in 1977 after I graduated from college in the state of Ohio as a deputy. Moved to California and worked San Diego for about over a decade before coming up here. So I've been around a lot. And so we're going to have a safety briefing today. And before we get started, I do want to reach out or do a shout out to the Teachers Union and all the faculty advocates that really promoted to have this presentation done today, especially during Convocation. We're doing this at every campus. Every captain is giving the same presentation in order to give you guys the tools that you need to deal with things such as active shooter survival. I think we're all aware that this is an ongoing problem and it's getting worse. So we're going to try to talk about and give you the tools and give you some ideas of what you can do to start preparing yourself for something like that if that happens. We're also going to talk about evacuation procedures. Last semester we started doing drills. This is a requirement that we have for clearing, and it's important that you know what to do when the fire alarm goes off and you need to get out. We're going to talk about a new app called the Rave Guardian, and this app is a great tool. We're going to encourage you to download it during this presentation, and we're going to ask you to really push it with your students as well, because we really want them to take advantage of this. And the last thing we're going to talk about is the camera project. Now, I only got 45 minutes to get this thing done, and I got a lot to cover, and I must try to speak very quickly. But if you have any questions, we can talk about that, or you can email me later on. I'll give you some information at the end. So let's get started. Active shooter. Again, I had the luxury of doing this for a long, long time, and I've seen a lot of great things happen in our society over that 40 years, but I've also seen a lot of bad things. And obviously the worst thing that we see is what we see today. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to give you some tools here, and we're going to go right to the airlines. Now, we all know the airlines are pretty safe, right? Well, except if you're on the MAX, you want to stay off the MAX. But it is really safe, and they have a lot of pride in making sure that their clients, you, fly safe and get to your destination safely. How many people here in the last 2 years have flown? Raise your hand. Yeah, a lot of people, right? And I can guarantee you that you had an opportunity to listen to their safety briefing, right? And it goes on and on. But it's like that in every airplane. Every airline has the same message. And the purpose of that is really to give you guys some short-term muscle memory, to help you in a case when it does have a crash or have a problem, and when that airbag comes flying out, you know exactly what to do. Because they know that during that time span, if something does happen, you will have that knowledge at your fingertips immediately. So I'm going to ask you another question. When they point out the exits of on the airline, does anybody here, and raise your hand, you do, be honest, does anybody here bother to count the rows of seats between you and that exit? Yeah, a few of you. Yeah, very good. Anybody know why? Yeah, because if it does crash, I can guarantee you that cab is going to fill up with a lot of smoke, and you're not going to be able to see the lights on the floorboard. And by feeling, you're going to be able to feel your way to that exit. It was interesting. This morning, I was watching the news this morning, and there was I think it was a United flight that suffered some smoke in the cabin, and it got pretty smoky, and they had to make an emergency landing. Hawaii, thank you very much. Yeah, and so it's important that you take these tools, and this is what I'm talking about: doing things now and starting to pre-plan and get that muscle memory going. So let's talk about, we had the same issues with the movie theater. I can guarantee you, when I go to the movie theater, I sit back and I get my big bucket of popcorn, obviously with a lot of butter, and my soda, which I shouldn't drink. And I sit and watch all the trailers, and I sit and watch now the commercials, right? We see a lot of commercials. But I want to know, how many actually, before you sit down, how many of you actually stop and look and see where the exits are, right? A few of you. And it's really important. This is what I'm talking about. You guys got to start getting into a habit, on a day-to-day basis to think about these things, right? Because these things happen, these events are happening more and more, and you never know when you're going to be faced with that. Let's bring it back to home here. If you see over here, we're talking about the classrooms in your office. Have you bothered to look around, and find the exits that are closest to your office or your classroom? You should know that. How about locking your doors? Do you have your key with you at all times? Do you take it in the classroom as well? And do you know how to lock the lock? Again, if you practice this stuff, if you take the time and effort, once a semester, let's say, and going into your classroom and just trying the locks, when it's an emergency, you're going to find yourself knowing how to do something pretty quickly, and it will save lives. So here's our objections today. We're going to describe to you what happens during an active shooter, and we are going to show a film later on. And for those that want to leave, are uncomfortable with the movie, you can step out for a little bit. But we're going to show you what to do during an active shooter scenario. We're also going to talk about how law enforcement is going to respond, and what it's going to look like. But I want to stress this. This is not a workplace violent briefing. We're not going to talk about the behavior of this person and why this stuff happens. This is a survival briefing. We're going to focus on helping you develop that muscle memory, help you decide and start practicing and working with your families and your students on how to be safe. Because this is why. All these places up here, every one of those places have had an active shooter event that taken place, right? I mean, we stop and look back, and we had the Gilroy Garlic Festival a couple weeks ago, entertainment venue. You had the Walmart shooting in El Paso, shopping. So there is no place anywhere anymore that is sacred ground. I remember 40 years ago, you didn't have problems on colleges or educational environment. They were safe havens, right? You didn't. Once you crossed the border into the campus, you were safe. At least you had that feeling that you were safe. Well, not anymore. So every day that we live, and again, I don't want people to walk away being afraid. This is not about making you afraid. Because I want you to enjoy life, and we want you to enjoy your family and your time. But this is all about developing habits to help you remember what to do in case of emergency, because this is why they're more frequent. And we're dealing with very angry people that have mental illness issues. They're seeking revenge. They're revenge collectors, is what we call them. Or they just want to they want the fame because, their heroes are, the students in Columbine, the shooters. And so these are the things that we're dealing with, and this is why you have to be ready for this kind of stuff. I mean, if you look up here, 2000 to 2018, there's been 15 active shooter incidences on college campuses alone. And during that same time, we've had 31 active shooter scenarios in California as well. So again, I can't stress this enough. It's going to happen, and so you have to be ready for it. Because they are unpredictable, they're going to evolve very quickly. They're not going to stop until either law enforcement stops them, or they commit suicide, or you guys take action. Scary thought, right? 56% of all the active shooters are done before law enforcement gets there. That's pretty scary. You stop and think about the Dayton incident. That was 30 seconds. There was officers on scene, 30 seconds before those officers were able to stop that individual, but yet he, shot 20, 25 people? So you have to be ready for that. You have to be conscious of your surroundings, and you really have to start planning. Again, I'm going to stress to you over and over again, pre-planning. Ask the what-if scenarios. Ask the what if this happens, what am I going to do? And because those exercises, they're going to help you develop ideas to react, when the time comes. So what actions should you take? So hide, run, and fight. I mean, we've been talking about this for about a decade, right? I think some of you have attended some of our training scenarios. We've had some where we come into some of your classrooms. One of the things I want to stress to you, because the run, hide, and fight, people believe that this is a linear step process. It's not. This is about proximity. So that's why it's really important for you guys to understand these three concepts and know that it's not about steps. It's not about, okay, I got to run first. Okay, well, now I can't run, so let's hide. Okay, well, he's here. I can't, the suspect's here. I have to fight. No, it's about proximity, because you got to be able to react, where that threat is at, and and take action and make a solid decision. All right, so let's talk about running. When you run, you should know your escape routes. When we talked about earlier about evacuations, I said to you, before you start your class, do you know your closest exit to your class? Where the closest stairwell? Do you know about all the different stairwells in your building? Does anybody know how many stairwells we have in Rada North and Rada South? We have 5. There are stairwells all around that building. So you should know where those are at and what's closest to you, so you know where. And then when you have your classes and you start your class, you should have this part of your conversation with your students. Give them the tools as well and tell them, here's your evacuation points. If you need to get out, this is the direction you go. And then you need to make sure that you leave everything behind, because this is a life and death situation. When these things happen, you don't want to wait around. You don't want to grab your stuff and grab your books and you need to get your students out of there and get everybody out. And then, of course, if somebody doesn't want to come, even though it's really hard, continue to ask them and continue to encourage them to come out. But if they don't, you need to keep going. You need to run. You need to get out of there, because this is about your safety. You need to take ownership of you. This is what we're talking about. And then, of course, obviously, when you're running out the building, warn people. Tell people what's going on in the building. Don't allow people to walk back into that building, right? Because we want to save lives. We want to make sure no one is put in harm's way. You may come across people that are wounded. Again, the first thing you want to do is try to help people. I mean, that's our human nature. That's what we want to do. But during an active shooter, you can't. You have to get out. And you need to tell those people, that you're going to send for help. Let them know that people are coming, because we are. And as soon as you get outside and call 911, you need to tell us where those individuals are at, because I've got teams ready to go in there and save them. So let's say proximity, I can't run. Now we have to figure out where to hide. What we need to remember is this, is that you want to find places that it's not restrictive. We don't want to lock yourselves in, in an area that's going to prevent you from maybe escaping if you have to. Prime example, we had Sandy Hook. There was a teacher that was, when the suspect started shooting, she climbed into a coat closet, a small coat closet. She just, it was really small. And she was there for the entire time. But she was trapped. So if the suspect had gotten there, she had no way to escape. So those are things you got to think about. The Pulse nightclub, another prime example. During that event, a lot of people were hurt and killed near the bathrooms because that's where they ran. They ran into the bathrooms. But unfortunately, what's wrong with the bathrooms? There's one way in and one way out, right? So you basically trap yourself into a room. And that's why you got to know your surroundings. You got to know, where you're at. Again, ask that what if scenario. Law enforcement, we do this all the time. We ask that question. I'll be walking across the quad and I'll be asking myself, what if this happens? What am I going to do? And I go, of course, I'm reverting back to my training. I'm going to do this. I'm going to hide. I'm going to pull, take action, whatever it needs to do. I've got the training. But your job is to ask that question and then think about it. Where am I going to hide? Look around. So if the shooter's nearby, make sure you lock your doors if you can. In fact, you should. That's why we asked you the question earlier about knowing how to lock your doors, making sure that you're comfortable with that. Think about what's in your classroom. What can you put inside that, in front of that door? What kind of barricades can you develop? Are there tables there? Can you move the podium over there? Can you just stack a bunch of chairs in front? And it's important to realize that we're not trying to, secure that door permanently. What we're trying to do is make it harder for that suspect to get in, because they're not looking for hard targets, they're looking for soft targets, right? So if you lock your door and you barricade this thing, it's protecting you, and that person's probably going to walk away and not try to get in. And of course, again, have a discussion with your students. Silence your phones. Don't turn them off, but silence them. And then dim them, okay? Because once you shut off the lights, because you're going to have the lights off in your room, once you make it look like it's an empty room, you don't want the light of your phone to be a distraction for the suspect to see. And of course, remain quiet. Try to talk to all the students to be quiet. When you get a chance, you want to call us right away. Call 911. And you need to give us this is really critical information. If you know this information, share it with us. Where was the last person, where was the suspect last seen? Maybe you know the guy or the woman or the person. Let's, tell us who you think it is. Tell us if you know what they're wearing, tell us the description of it, because we want to be able to, as we're running into the scene, we want to be able to identify that person. And especially if you know what kind of weapons they have. Do they have long rifles? Does he carry a shotgun, or is it just a handgun? These are all important concepts. And of course, the last thing we talk about, number of potential victims. Again, I can't stress that enough. Let us know. We work closely with the fire department. We set up protection for them so we can get them in and get the victims out pretty quickly. And of course, here's the last thing, right? This is a tough one. You guys are professional instructors. Your whole world is about teaching and about developing compromise and equity and doing all the good stuff that we do. But here's something that that maybe is kind of foreign to you, but you really have to stop and think about it. You need to be able to decide, and you need to ask your question. What if this happens? Can I fight this person? Can I take that person out? Because you may be in a position where you have to. So you need to really work on digging deep for that courage to take action. And when it has to, be aggressive. Be aggressive. Throw things at the person. Yell at the person. Distract them so you can so you and your friends can take this person out. And before I flip over, I just want to share. Here's another story. during 9/11 Flight 93. Remember that one, the one that crashed in Pennsylvania? There was a gentleman on board. His name was Todd Beamer. Todd Beamer, I think, actually, he was the one that actually got everybody to work together, and because they knew that that plane was not going to land. It was going to be flown into a building, and they knew that that they didn't have any choice. They really had to do something to try to take over, and they were successful in stopping that plane from just, going into another building and killing more and more people. Unfortunately, they lost their lives, but they were heroes, and they stopped the violence, and they were able to protect others. And that's the kind of commitment we're talking about. So, what would you do? So look around the room. Where are the exits? And then I'm going to ask a question. Let's assume somebody from the back decides to walk down this row right here and goes right up to the front here. And they stand there and they start yelling at me. And they start yelling at you. And next thing you know, they pull out a gun. What do you do? What's the question? That's the question. What if? What are you guys going to do in the back if somebody's up here shooting? Go ahead, speak up. Run, absolutely, because you're the furthest. You guys on the side, you're going to run out that exit, right? Those in the middle, what are you guys going to do? Hide, get on the ground, get between the seats, try to crawl out if you can, but don't become a target. And then, of course, my friends up here, you're going to help me, right? Yeah, it's important. You're going to have to fight. You're going to have to do whatever you can. If you got, you get something in your hands, soda or whatnot, you throw it at them. You just do whatever you can to distract that person until we can take them out. And that's what we're talking about. It's about determination. It's about planning, pre-planning. It's asking the what-if question. And again, this is not just for you, but it's for your students, and it's also for your family. You need to start thinking about this. Have an honest discussion with your family, especially your family, and make this a game. When maybe you're walking, into the mall, and you're with your family, ask the what if question out loud and say, what do we do if this happens? Have your family start to think about this and get them in the habit of being ready for something, because we know it's happening everywhere and we don't know when it's going to happen, but you got to be ready for it. All right, here's where I come in, law enforcement. And when we come in, we're trained to do one thing, is to run to the shooter, to stop that person right away as fast as we can. And we're not waiting for other people to show up. If it's just me on the campus, guess what? I'm running to stop that guy. I'm not going to stop and help you. I'm not going to stop and talk to you other than where is he? But I am going to, my whole goal and my whole training is to do it that way. That's what we're trained to do. And why did we do it that way? What happened in 1999 that changed this? Columbine, yeah. Before, we wouldn't do that. Before, we would set a perimeter, we'd call in SWAT, we'd get the negotiators in here, we'd try to find a resolution to this madness and to try to fix it. But Columbine changed that. And so now that's what we did. We changed our tactics in order to deal with that type of threats. And that's what I'm asking of you guys today. You have to change your lifestyle, to prepare for these things. Unfortunately, and again, it's not about being afraid, and we're not trying to make you afraid of life, but we want you to be prepared. So we're going to show up, and I'm telling you that we're going to have every police officer in Sacramento County that's on duty. They're going to be here. There's going to be all kinds of uniforms. There's going to be all kinds of gear. There's going to be all kinds of tactical equipment. You're going to see rifles. You're going to see assault weapons. You're going to see shotguns. You're going to see handguns. You're going to see officers yelling at people. You're going to even see people getting taken down to the ground, and because they're not listening. And that's why I need to let you know that this is very serious. And when we show up, we have a goal and have a job to do, and that is to do whatever we can to stop it, to protect you, but we also need your cooperation. So and I know this is really hard because we're talking about an active shooter, but you need to remain calm when you see us, and when we're running to you, I need you to keep your hands up. Show your hands, because we're trained, that hands kill. We want to know what you have in your hands. We want to see that. And of course, we don't want you to, move quickly or yell at us. We want you to tell us what you know, and follow our directions. And we're gonna send you someplace where it's safe. And that safe location is gonna be controlled by us. Because I got two things going on. I'm trying to stop this madness, but I'm also have to investigate it. And this is where you're going to be. You're going to be there for a while. You're going to be at this when you're going to be talking to FBI. You're going to be talking to SAC PD. You're going to be talking. Oops, went too far. Sorry. Did I? I went too far. Oh, there we are. You're going to see a lot of things going on. So what I want you to do is just understand that you're going to be there for a long time. How many remember the shooting here at Sacramento, 5, 6 years ago? Yeah, quite a few of you. You were stuck in your room in shelter in place for a long time, weren't you? Yeah. Well, the victims or the witnesses to that scene were there until midnight. Yeah, because we need to be there. They need to help us to kind of figure out what happened. So just be understanding that that's where you're going to be. You're going to be there for a while. So let's talk about preparing for this thing. Again, how does your room lock, right? Have you tested your key? Are you carrying your key to the classroom or your office? Do you have it accessible to you pretty quickly? You should try it. You should practice in locking and unlocking your door. The question I get a lot from instructors when we talk about this, can I lock my door when class is in session? It's your classroom. Obviously you need to have a long discussion with your students, but you can. That's, if you want to lock that door and you have another student keeping, be the door monitor, that's fine. But you have that option. And then of course, planning, know your exits. And then of course, if you're on the ground floor, check your windows. Can your windows be open? Can you get out? And they can't get out, be ready to break them out, right? Because in a major emergency, if you're locked in that room and you need to escape, I can guarantee you that I really don't care about that window pane. If you want to break it, because I want you to be safe. You also need to take a look and have a discussion with your students, to look around the room. Ask them, what would they do if this happened? What kind of furniture can they help you, or can they identify inside that can barricade that door? Again, it's about developing that muscle memory, right? The more you talk about it, the more you share with others, the easier it's going to come to you when the time comes. And of course, what kind of weapons do you have inside that you can use? And when I talk about weapons, I'm talking about everyday things: books, backpacks, chairs. We teach you guys during the hide, run, and fight scenario training that we want you to throw things at people, right? We want you to throw things at that suspect because why? It's going to distract them and give them enough time for you to take action if you have to. And of course, again, here's the most important: pre-planning. You got to plan. If you wait until, like I said, if you wait until it happens, it's too late. The more you think ahead, the safer you're going to be. And then the last thing, if you see something, say something. We have really great examples this last week and week and a half. They've made, seven arrests throughout the United States because the suspect had said something to somebody on social media, and their friends who saw it called police department and told them, I'm worried this guy's going to commit an act of vengeance on a community, and they were able to arrest those individuals and stop an active shooter from happening. So again, let us know. Give us a call. You have a program, a CIT program, a crisis intervention team that can, you can refer to. I work with that team as well. So we try to do what we can to try to de-escalate these individuals and try to help them before they get to that level. Okay, hide, run, and fight. We're going to show a video here. It is a little bit graphic, and it's made to be realistic, real life. I don't want if anybody feels that they can't watch it, I understand. I'm going to ask you to step out now. It's only lasts for about 6 minutes, so I need you to come back. But it's going to cover everything we talked about today. Okay, you guys ready?
It may feel like just another day at the office. But occasionally, life feels more like an action movie than reality. The authorities are working hard to protect you and to protect our public spaces. But sometimes bad people do bad things. Their motivations are different. The warning signs may vary, but the devastating effects are the same. And unfortunately, you need to be prepared for the worst. If you were ever to find yourself in the middle of an active shooter event, your survival may depend on whether or not you have a plan. The plan doesn't have to be complicated. There are 3 things you could do that make a difference: run, hide, fight. First and foremost, if you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision. Remember what's important: you, not your stuff. Leave your belongings behind and try to find a way to get out safely. Trying to get yourself out of harm's way needs to be your #1 priority. Once you are out of the line of fire, try to prevent others from walking into the danger zone and call 911. If you can't get out safely, you need to find a place to hide. Act quickly and quietly. Try to secure your hiding place the best you can. Turn out lights, and if possible, remember to lock doors. Silence your ringer and vibration mode on your cell phone. And if you can't find a safe room or closet, try to conceal yourself behind large objects that may protect you. Do your best to remain quiet and calm. As a last resort, if your life is at risk, whether you are alone or working together as a group, fight. Act with aggression. Improvise weapons. Disarm him. And commit to taking the shooter down, no matter what. Try to be aware of your environment. Always have an exit plan. Know that in an incident like this, victims are generally chosen randomly. The event is unpredictable and may evolve quickly. The first responders on the scene are not there to evacuate or tend to the injured. They are well trained and are there to stop the shooter. Your actions can make a difference for your safety and survival. Be aware and be prepared. And if you find yourself facing an active shooter, there are 3 key things you need to remember to survive. Run, hide, fight.
All right, good movie, right? I mean, it kind of covered everything I talked about. We'll wait a few seconds for people to come here. I would suggest that you can see this movie again or share it with your students. We have a link that's on our website, at the Los Rios Police Department website. You may want to try to incorporate that in maybe in your class. I know that you've got a lot to teach, but it might be an opportunity for your students to watch this. Maybe put it on Canvas, make it a small project, something like that. Just some ideas. But it is all about surviving, and your survival really is dependent on your pre-planning. It's about you taking the time and effort to know your surroundings and what to do in case something like this happens. And just remember that more than half the time, I'm not going to get there in time. It may take 3 to 5 minutes before law enforcement gets to that location. And so these are critical time that you own, and it's your responsibility to do whatever you can to stay alive. And so hopefully that the things that we talked about today, and the ideas of things such as the what if question and doing the pre-planning will help you when these things happen, because everybody must have a plan. Not only you, but your students and your family. You all need to start really thinking about this. Wow, that was tough, huh? All right, so we're going to switch a little gears here, slow it down here. Of course, I'm going to speed it up because I'm running out of time. Evacuation procedures. We're required by Clary to do evacuation drills. We started that last semester, and you're going to see this happen every semester. So we're going to cover what your responsibilities are today. So when you hear the alarm go off in your building, or you get an alert, or you get law enforcement comes running in and tells you to get out, you need to get out. You need to get your students out, because it's everybody's responsibility to get out of the building during these type of events. Deans and managers, really seriously, it's your guys' responsibility for your students and or for your faculty and your employees. Make sure they understand the importance of this and the importance of getting their students out quickly. And of course, everybody is responsible for knowing your exit routes, and we keep talking about that, right? Know how to get out and know where to go. Faculty and supervisors, you are the leaders. Your students rely on you. They're going to look at you when the alarm goes off. You need to be ready and be able to give them the proper direction on how to get out and where to go. Again, know your exits. Remind your students, don't use the elevators. Anybody know why we don't use elevators? We get trapped, right? Because you can get trapped inside an elevator, or the elevator could open up on the floor where the fire's at. So you want to stay out of the elevators. Use the stairwells. And of course, get out as fast as you can, quickly, but not run. The alarms are set up so it gives you some time. But you need to get out as quick as you can, but no running. And then make sure when you leave, make sure you shut off the lights of your classroom and shut the door. That helps us when we go through to double check the building. We know that room is clear, right? Because if the light's off, we know that you guys are done. And get everybody out at 150 feet away from the building. There was a discussion, or we used to have rallying points. We'd tell you to go this location or that location. We found that really is unrealistic, because the fire department could be at one of the rallying points, right? Because that's, so what we tell people now, just get out of the building, get out at least a minimum of 150 feet away, and avoid and stay away from the first responders, because your fire department and the police are going to be trying to solve the problem and try to fix the problem, and they can't worry about you guys being in their way. So we need to stay away from them and give them some room. If somebody doesn't leave or refuses to leave, please let us know right away. I will send an officer in or a team in to try to get them out. If you get everybody outside, it's really important that we understand who we're dealing with, right? We're all adults. It's not high school. So get them all to come out. Let's say tell them to go out to the fountain or go out to the quad area in the gazebo, but if they get out there and they decide they want to leave, let them go. That's, they can leave. Hopefully it's only a drill and we can get you back in pretty quickly, but you can't really prevent people or students from leaving if they want to leave. And don't come back into the building. You're going to find that I'm going to shut off the alarm, silence the alarm while we're searching the building for the threat or for the fire. That doesn't mean it's all clear. That alarm is going. That's really, really loud, and I'm inside that and searching the building. It's easier on my ears not to have that thing blaring at me, and of course I can't communicate on the radio, so we'll silence it. So you're going to see or hear the silence go off. Please don't come back in yet. Wait until we tell you. Administrator or a police department, police official will tell you everything's clear. You can come back in. So here's something we always have to consider, right? We have students that are visually impaired. So we need to make sure, if you have a student that's in your class that's visually impaired, make sure you just, again, talk to them about the procedure and also, help them, okay? Because during the evacuation, obviously, everybody's going to be leaving, and so we want to be able to help them. It's going to be harder for them to go through the building to try to get out, right? When they have so many people around them. So help them get out, and then when you get them out to the rallying point or to the place that you tell them, explain to where they're at so they know where they're at. Hearing impaired, same thing. We need to let them know, get their attention, write it on the board or write it on some paper so they know what's going on, and then, again, tell them and write on the paper telling them where to go. You may have some students that are on crutches, they're injured. They're going to have a hard time getting out, and so you need to talk to them and make sure that they understand. And if they can get out, great. But if they need help or they need to be carried out, there's different ways that you can do this. As you can see up here, there's a two-person lockdown position. It's one of the easiest ways of carrying somebody out. We use this in first responders and fire all the time. Worst case scenario, if you have to carry somebody out, this is the kind of procedure that you can use. You can also carry them out on a chair too, if that's possible. And of course, when we always have students that are wheelchair bound, and we're going to need to find a way to get them out as well. I would strongly urge you to sit down and talk to them, and talk to them about this procedure. They know what they need. They know what help they could get from you and what they expect. So talk to them, and then so you guys have a plan ahead of time in something like this happens. And of course, sometimes and it depends on the wheelchair, right? Because a lot of these chairs are several hundred pounds now with the battery, so you're probably not going to be able to carry them out. But if you have one of the older things, you may be able to use that to carry them out. If that's not possible, we do have every building that has a two-story structure has what we call a life glider, and these are sleds that they can get on, and you can let them down and easily on the stairwell. It slides right down. It's a really good tool that we use. If you're working in one of those buildings, you should know where it's located. Talk to your deans, talk to operations. Operations has a list of where they're located, and they will be able to give you guidance on training and all the other things that you need to know to use this equipment. Okay, Rave Guardian. All right, this is the time I want you all take out your phones. You're going to download this on your phone right now. This is a new program. This is a free app that we have. It's part of the Rave Alert system. It's a great tool, and we're going to go over that tool as well. If you have, it's on the Google Play and the Apple Store. It's set up with your W number, so just follow the simple directions and you're good to go. And this is why we're doing it. It gives you a immediate location for where of all the notifications and emergency alerts that go out. And so it has a little mailbox in it for that. But here's a really good thing. So for those that are working at nighttime or students, again, we want you to encourage your students to do the same thing. It has a campus safety escort. And what that is, it's a timer. You can set the timer, and let's say it's going to take me 30 minutes to get across campus to my car. You set the timer. You connect with your friends and family. It lets them know that you're walking to your car. And in 30 minutes, if you don't shut it off, it'll let them know that you didn't make it and to call the police. It's a really good tool to have. The other tool on this app is the 911 texting. We can now communicate with our dispatchers by text. The dispatchers has in their office, they have a dashboard that alerts them when a message comes across. This is a great tool for, especially if you have a problem in your classroom. Your students will be able to text us right away to let us know if we got a problem. Or, we're in the middle of an active shooter scenario. You can't use the phone. You can text us and let us know what's going on. Oops, sorry. It also has a 911, wherever you're at, it'll call the nearest 911 center button. It has a contact list for important phone numbers for the students, and for such as weave and safety equity stuff and things like that. So we've populated numbers in that list. And then here's a really good portion of it. Everybody remember the flip charts in your classroom? Those things are hard to update all the time, right? We've taken that flip chart and put it inside your phone. Now you can carry it everywhere. And if you need to look at it and get some directions, doesn't matter if you're here on campus or if you're at home, you'll be able to flip through that and get some guidance on what to do in case of a major event. And of course, then there's a 911 button for us. You can call our dispatch center as well. It's a simple program. Again, this is where you do. You want to, if you haven't done so, again, I encourage you to do so. Download it on your phone. That way you have it. And then I'm asking all of you really to include this in your syllabus or include this in your presentation first day of school. Encourage your students to download this. We really want them to have tools at their fingertips and have to help them with their safety. All right, the last thing we're going to talk about is the surveillance camera project. This project is started a couple years ago. What we were finding that throughout the district, every campus, every division had their own camera system. It was hard to really track on who had what, and a lot of stuff was not compatible. The district agreed that they needed to do a better job, and so we were replacing all those systems with a standalone system. This system will give us the ability to expand and we're able to share video real time with outside law enforcement during major events. We're able to archive the video for 30 days, which gives us plenty of time to be able to collect it for evidence and things. And of course, we're hoping to have this done by December 1st this year. City College is getting 77 new cameras. Davis Center's got 16, and West Sac has 8. And again, we're going to look at after we get everything running, we're going to look and see if there's any other areas outside that that needs to have some kind of surveillance. You're going to see these kind of signs coming up. These are replacing the old signs. The old signs said that we monitor it. We don't monitor these things. We're not Big Brother, but we are recording, and we want people to know that these things are being recorded. So, conclusion. We talked about how to survive an active shooter, and again, the stress, pre-planning, ask the what-if scenarios. Make it a game with your family and your students. Get people to start thinking about your safety on a constant basis. We talked about the responsibility for evacuation. You got to get out. And we also talked about the Rave Guardian and the camera project. And I did this in 48 minutes, and I was supposed to be done by 45, so I'm going to get yelled at for going too long. So this is my email address here on campus, john.mcpeak@losrios.edu, and there's my office number. Please feel free to call me. I'm your captain. I'm your resource. If you need to talk to me about something or have a question about something, don't hesitate to give me a call or send me an email. I answer all my emails. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for you. So I want to thank you all for listening to me, and I hope you all have, on behalf of the Los Rios Police Department, please have a safe fall semester. And so we're going to transition to Celebration of Excellence. So I'd like to introduce Patty Leonard right now.